Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, guys, I want to try to be as fair as I possibly can to both teams. I want to speak to a couple of different groups of fans throughout this video, and the first group that I want to speak to are Leaf fans that are confident that they're going to win this series. On the screen right now are stats of other teams against the Toronto Maple Leafs. No one with a winning record against them this year in the North Division. There's a couple of teams that are Bettman 500 in terms of the points percentage, but not any one team in the Canadian division had the Leafs' number. If you're looking at the underlying numbers between the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs compared to the rest of the Leafs' opponents, they win the shot attempt share, and they're only one of two teams to have done that to Toronto this year. They lose the expected goals for battle quite miserably. When you're looking at the scoring chances for, so that's for and against, they lose that battle as well, but they fared better than anyone else. And then they get heavily outplayed when it comes to the high danger shot attempt share and the high danger goals that were scored between the two teams. So to fans who want to be confident and think that this is a slam dunk, I would rethink that, because the underlying numbers are a lot closer than you may realize or want to admit. And if you want to try to contextualize those numbers into an actual hockey conversation, the game plan for the Montreal Canadiens is simple. They're going to try to direct an absurd amount of shots towards the net and try to generate an absurd amount of scoring chances on the chance that your goalie is not on his game. They're not going to be the best quality of shots and scoring chances, but if your goalie is not on his game, they're going to get a couple of stinkers, and it's going to be really frustrating to watch. So for the fans that think that this is going to be a slam dunk win for the Toronto Maple Leafs, wake up, because it's not. I can fully expect this series to go 5 or 6 games. And I think that the Leafs do win this series, but I don't think it's going to be 5-2, 5-3, 4-2 blowouts. I think we're going to see a lot of one-goal games in this series. If you watch Toronto-Montreal games, especially after the trade deadline, if you're a Leaf fan watching this video, you're going to recognize how Montreal sets up through the middle of the ice when they're defending, and that is in a 1-2-2 formation. And this is important, because in last year's series against the Columbus Blue Jackets, this is exactly what they did. They did it a little bit more dramatized, and it was a lot more passive, where that F1 and the F3 and 2 and the both defenders were pushed back a little bit more, but this is what they did to beat the Leafs. And let's get something straight. This only works if your goalie is going to play really good, because you're sitting back and you're letting the other team come to you. And the way to beat this is that you got to drive wide with speed and cut hard through the middle there. You got to go right through the F2 or the F3 and really attack those defenders who are backing up and standing still for the most part. Now, where this would favor the Leafs is that I don't think that Montreal is consistent enough or good enough to pull this off defensively. Nowhere near as structurally sound or good defensively personnel-wise as the Columbus Blue Jackets were last season. Normally, when facing a formation like this, dumping the puck in wouldn't really work, because those defenders are already so close to the back wall that they can just pick it up and either skate it out or move it out, especially when those defensemen are Seth Jones and Zach Werenski. But the Montreal Canadiens don't have either of those guys. They have Jeff Petrie, and he's really good. Shea Weber can be really good if he's healthy and on his game. But again, the Toronto Maple Leafs are one of the better forechecking teams in the league, with the likes of Nick Foligno, Ilya Mikheyev, Zach Hyman, and many others. So I don't think that the Canadiens are going to be able to pull this off through a 7-game series, just because the Leafs are such a good forechecking team that those defensemen, the defensemen that they do have that are good at skating and moving the puck, are going to get worn down real fast if they opt to do this. Because again, Zach Hyman, Ilya Mikheyev, Nick Foligno bearing down on you for 7 games straight? I don't think so. That doesn't sound like a fun time. At times, we've also seen the Montreal Canadiens run a neutral zone style trap against the Leafs. What's on the screen right now would be classified as a 1-3-1. The Montreal Canadiens use a variation of it in a 1-4 formation, so it's even more dramatic. And the way that you would treat that 1-4, and for Leaf fans, you're not going to like this, is like you would treat a power play. You would skate the puck in hard and either dump it in, or do a drop pass and try to generate more speed to catch those defenders or the forwards that are standing on the blue line flat-footed. Speed and good puck movement is always going to be the best bet to beat the neutral zone trap, but like we've already discussed, I don't think that Montreal has the personnel on D to pull off a neutral zone trap the way that maybe a defensive team like the New York Islanders or the Columbus Blue Jackets last season were able to. I think that in this sense, you could have the puck carrier skate the puck up really hard and rim the puck around the boards and have the forechecker really come in and attack whatever defenseman is in the corner here. I want to learn more about hockey, especially coaching formations and structure and plays, starting with forechecks, and then I want to make my way into the defensive zone and the offensive zone and learning the set plays off the faceoffs and stuff like that. I want to be able to coach like a Pee-wee team one day. And I will leave his link in the video description here. Go ahead and check out Jack Hand's Substack. He talks about all these different types of formations, showing a video and nice little neat concise graphics like on an actual hockey playboard. He was a coach with the Toronto Marlies for a number of years with Sheldon Keefe. Just an excellent knowledge resource. So now that I've spoken to fans who are really confident that the Leafs are going to win this series, let's talk to fans who are cautiously optimistic or even nervous for this series. You know it. I know it. Sometimes the Leafs get sloppy in their own end. And when they do, that's when the Montreal Canadiens are going to be waiting in the weeds to try to pick off a scoring opportunity. And that's when they're generally not going to get the jump on you in terms of the quality of chances. But when you make mistakes, you better believe they're going to be right there in your face to capitalize on it. I don't think that this is going to be a very fun series for Morgan Reilly and his fans. Like I already said earlier in the video, the Montreal Canadiens want to take advantage of your mistakes in your own zone. Morgan Reilly makes a lot of them. But at the same time, he's also tasked with carrying the puck a lot, and Montreal really wants to take advantage of your mistakes in transition and come down the ice with numbers. Like I said, I understand if you want to be cautiously optimistic about the Leafs, but if you're spending more time worrying about Toronto overcoming Montreal's strengths, you're not realizing that the Leafs' offense is the most potent attribute between either of these teams in this series. Aside from Jack Campbell, I don't know what to expect from any of the goalies in this series, and if you come here to hear me say that I'm worried because he doesn't have any playoff experience, we'll see. I don't really buy into that. I think he continues rolling the way that he's been going the last while, and he's been absolutely phenomenal in everything that the Leafs could have wished and hoped for from any goalie this season. Jake Allen was good to start the season. He was good throughout, but as the injuries started to pile up for the Canadiens, he started to falter. And I think he's a good goalie, but I don't think that he's good enough to carry that team. And speaking of carry, Price, everyone wants to label him as an X factor in this series. Oh, what if Carey Price does this? What if Carey Price does that? Yeah, and if I could quack, I'd be a duck. People got 2014 burned into their brain like it was yesterday. And I can't fault people for glorifying the good old days, you know, when you can go outside and golf and high-five your buddies and lick a telephone pole if you really wanted to. But at the same time, I think it's just preying on people's anxiety. And if you're cautiously optimistic and nervous about the Leafs, hey, that plays right into your wheelhouse. I could just keep saying Carey Price this, Carey Price that, and it's going to work. You're going to get worried. And you might have already typed it out and hit comment. The Penguins didn't worry about Carey Price, and look what happened to them last season. And to that I would say, well, I dare Carey Price to do it 2 years in a row. Look, I love the guy, and I think it's better for the rivalry, and it's better for the sport if he returns to form, but I dare him to do it 2 years in a row. Especially coming off of injury for Price, and he hasn't really played that well all year. It's just like, I dare him to do it twice, 2 years in a row. And Shea Weber's got a hand brace on. If you were watching the Saturday night broadcast between the Caps and the Bruins, they showed that picture that the Canadian social team leaked. Someone's probably getting fired over that. And I get it. Some people are just anxious like that. But I'm not going to sit here and be one of those people. Because, like I said, I dare him to do it 2 years in a row. And if he does do it 2 years in a row, hats off to the guy. Like, respect, man. Respect. But even then, it may not be enough for the Canadiens to win this series. According to MoneyPuck.com, the Leafs have a 75.2% chance to beat the Montreal Canadiens and make it to the second round here. That is, if you're someone that wants to be cautiously optimistic, you do not want to look at that. Between the two groups of fans that I've spoken to throughout this video, maybe people who are being too confident in the Leafs or people who are nervous about the Leafs, I think that there's a happy middle ground between these two groups, and that is the Leafs are more than likely going to win this series, And if you watched all 10 games between these two teams, it's going to be really hard for me to take you seriously if you do not share that sentiment, because I did watch all 10 of those games. And while I still do think that the Leafs win the series, I also believe that it's going to be close. And just to reiterate, while I do think that the Leafs win this series in 5 or 6 games, I think that those 5 or 6 games are all decided by 1 or 2 goals. And if I'm wrong about that and the Leafs dominate Montreal, I'll be happy to be wrong about that. At the end of my previous video, I teased the Leafs having a secret weapon, and I'm going to reveal a little bit more information about it because I want you guys to leave more guesses in the comment section of this video as to what you think it is. I don't think that any team in the league has an answer for this secret weapon offensively or defensively. And I want to talk about this secret weapon in depth coming up in another video that I want to do before the Montreal-Toronto series starts next Thursday. So make sure to like the video if you did like it and subscribe for more, because more is always on the way. And guys, remember, let's have fun with this series because it is going to be a hell of a lot of fun.